Welcome to another exciting episode of Skyperf Talk, the podcast where we dive into filmmaking, drones, photography, and beyond.
I think I fit into the beyond category.
I'm your host, Rodrigo, and today we have a special guest that comes from the beautiful Perth,
Hi.
Western Australia. He's an expert in capturing the best of the sounds from our favorite films, TV series, and he's really humble, but he's an accomplished drone pilot as well. We know about that. Mm-hmm. So, with you guys on the red corner, the only one, Jason Rao.
Wow, okay.
Hey Jason, welcome to our show. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
I would like to say thank you for you to come here and be with us today. We are excited to have you, and there are so many things that we love to talk and discover a few things and see what you can show to us.
Sure.
Jason, who is Jason?
Okay, well, I am predominantly a sound recordist. I was just actually looking before we started, because I've been saying I've been doing this job for 15 years, but that just kind of rolls off the tongue. It's actually 18. I'm in my 18th year, so
18 years.
I've been doing this a long time. Yeah.
So basically, it's since 2005.
Yes. So I started in post audio, which I absolutely loved. I was in charge of sound suiting for commercials. Then I stopped that and went to long form, which I didn't enjoy as much, just pretty much for my attention span, my short attention span. Then I went and worked in a couple of other studios, and after that I discovered just my job now, which is field recording.
Oh, fantastic. And doing your field recordings, being sound recordist, what are the challenges that you face on a daily basis?
There's always lots of challenges. Generally, we get thrown into a situation where we're not fully briefed on, I would say, and you have to kind of think really fast. You don't want to be holding up a shoot, and you just need to get perfect sound, really, because it's one of those jobs where good sound is always expected, and it's only really noticed when it's not done properly.
Okay, so you need to be a really pro, so quick, think fast, have everything sorted. So it means probably the way that you say in client brief, hey Jason, we are gonna have like 2 guys to record. Can you bring the equipment for 2 guys? And when you go to the field, there are 5.
Yeah, that happens all the time. Yeah, but you've only got time to mic up 2 people, or it's you just have to expect the unexpected. That was I remember the first day of Shipwreck Hunters. I'd been told there was only going to be like 7 people max that I had to care about, and that would only ever come up, once in a blue moon kind of thing. And the first shot was like, Jace, let's get all 8 people mic'd up, and that's how it went for the rest of the shoot. So that's an example.
That's real life.
Yeah, even though that just sounds like one extra radio mic, that was a whole extra kit that I needed. So I was trying to make a 6-channel mixer work for 8 people. It was a challenge.
Oh, because the way that you're saying, like the equipment that you have, there is a limit.
Yeah, so they just kind of pushed past the limit, and I just had to think, okay, what can I do to make this work, and without holding up the shoot, and just get on with it and do it.
Everything is changing a lot. Before we start here, we were talking about AI, everything. How you can keep it up with all this technology? Everything changes really quick. How it works for sound recordists?
Look, it does. It is changing a lot at the minute, and it's kind of interesting because traditionally, sound recording gear has been able to really last a long time. If you build a kit, you can pretty much expect that to last like say 10 years or more. At the moment, though, everything's becoming a lot more reality driven, which is, that in itself is not a big change. But the technology coming in is all these little personal recorders, which are all time code based, and everything, whether it's a wide shot, tight shot, you know, it needs to be covered. And you never know in a reality situation who's going to say what. There's no script to follow. It's just basically mic everyone up, have everyone coming through perfectly, and then just let the whole scene play out. And so traditionally that's all done on radio mics, which we use all the time, but now the radio mics are starting to record on board the little transmitters, or quite often we even just use literally just a personal recorder with a lav mic on them. And yeah, we have to kind of manage them, and they're a little bit trickier because you don't get that instant feedback of, you know, whether there's a lot of rustle or if it sounds good or bad, or, you know, if the microphone's completely fallen off or anything like that. So, but that's how things are going.
Cool. So the way that you're saying every time that because you have you can build this kit for 10 years, that might be one of the reasons why we moved from being a drone pilot to be purely only sound recordist, because the technology for drone is changing really quick.
Yeah. It's funny about the drone thing. I really enjoyed doing it. I kind of set myself a goal of what I wanted to achieve, and then I achieved that without causing any great deal of damage. And I thought there was a lot of competition coming into the area, and the drones were getting smaller and better, and budgets couldn't really accommodate what I wanted to do anymore. So I haven't given up completely. I still fly a small one or something, but it more complements my sound job. So quite often, because of restrictive budgets, they'll have me do 2 jobs.
Gotcha.
Because then there's only one plane ticket, there's only one, you know, room accommodation that they have to book and things like that.
For one person, everything. Maybe we could show Frank one of the photos that.
That was a long time ago. I know exactly where that was. That was the Midland Hospital before it was the Midland Hospital.
That looks like a big machine, man.
That was say like a 10 kilo, I called them X8 multi-rotor. And I'm not trying to make it fly. I'm just I don't know what I'm doing there.
Oh, you are.
I think I was just doing the compass or something. But that's actually a photo from my proudest job with a drone, and that was that weighed in at about just under 20 kilos. And the whole thing was built completely by me.
Really? Mm-hmm. So tell us about this big drone. What do you have done?
Okay, well, essentially they're the same, just the size of them is a little bit different. One was just designed to carry like mirrorless cameras, which took the bulk of the work. So this one was just essentially a bigger version, but we had bigger props. We needed longer arms, bigger motors. Its power requirement was the same, but it just wouldn't stay in the air as long. This is a Freefly Movi gimbal, but that was actually an M5, the smallest one, but it was all stripped and customized to take bigger cameras because that's what I wanted to do. And yeah, like all the machining, all of the carbon fiber, everything was cut and done by me. And I'm just proud that it flew and didn't pack up and it got the job done.
So you never have any crash or any problem with those drones?
I had a couple of crashes, but fortunately not with that one. Actually, I had on this job, not this day, I had a really stressful situation where one of the rotors actually became, there was a little grub screw that came loose. And once that was loose, the propeller shaft was actually able to had too much play, and anyways, it completely ruined a motor. And so every time this landed, we'd get the little temp gun out and make sure, you know, we would check if there was any issues. And one was just sky high, and it had a grinding sound when we started it back up. And I knew that day we were going to have a motor changed. But on the same day, I had my wife had a 20-week scan, And so I knew I had this drone to fix for the next day's shooting, but then I was due in the scanning place, and of course they were running like 4 hours late. So I was just sitting in a waiting room going, I need to fix this for tomorrow. And anyways, you wouldn't be able to see it on. Oh no, you can. So and this was the very next day. But so once we got home from the scan, I had to put a new motor on there and quickly fly it in my front yard to make sure it was all going to be fine. And if you look really closely, you can see this back arm has all electric tapes because I didn't have enough time to actually run the wires through the arm like this. It was just get it on, get it working, and yeah, that was really stressful. So I was very, very happy once that shoot was done.
And what you guys are shooting for?
That was an RAC commercial, which was about 8 days long.
8 days long, wow.
Yeah. And we had, that's the Alexa Mini. I forget what kind of lens we had on there, but I had to get all of that stuff ahead of time, and it's all needing to be balanced and controlled and everything. And this man here is Blake Waldock, and yeah, he did all the camera work for me.
Oh,
while
great.
I flew around.
You just have fun flying.
Yeah. just shooting bricks and hoping that nothing goes wrong. Because it was always on my mind that it didn't have to be me, it didn't have to be the drone, it could just be as simple as a bird just flying in the way and bringing the whole thing down.
Talking about drones, what kind of influence drone gave to you, or it's having in your profession when you talk about sound recording? Because I start to see like it's kind of a trend. All the sound recorders, they are drone pilots, and I till now I didn't understand why. Can you try to explain from you what could be the reason?
Yeah, so without blowing my own trumpet, I think I was actually the first soundo to become a registered drone pilot. When I got my license, there was only 20 people nationally that actually had their REOC. So, and I was working a lot with Channel 7, and in particular, one of my absolute favourite shows, which was Today Tonight, and I miss it dearly. I loved working with them.
Oh.
And they were so into drones. They just wanted drones on anything. They even let me commission my own stories, which was great. Yep. But when I was talking to the chief of the place, we both said, look, it makes a lot of sense to have the drone recorders, the drone pilot and the sound recorders combined into one, because there's so many times where the cameraman has to go out and get GVs that don't require sound, and we just thought, well, I can just jump on board and get shots as well. So it just seemed like a good combo basically. Mm-hmm. Whereas if it was the cameraman doing the drone shots, he or she would have to go and get all of the GVs, then put that camera down, then go and get the drone, and it was just better for time to do it this way.
Okay.
And then the combo worked really well, and then you had other people who worked at Today Tonight, like Brett State. He jumped into it, and then I was approached by Aussie Gold, who figured out it would be a great use of resources to combine the sound recorders with the drone pilot. And I did end up working on that show, but not in the first. I was too busy with this kind of stuff. But yeah, and that kind of gave rise to the sound recordist / drone pilot.
Oh, that's amazing. Because in my mind, it doesn't make sense. The drones are so loud, hey.
They are, but they're always GVs, so there's no sound required. Or you can just go and get a nice little Atmos track after you've landed the drone, and then you just overlay
and you can
that
do
on
everything,
the top.
which makes sense.
Yeah,
because okay, stop the drone. So you're gonna be the one that I stop the drone and stop recording.
Yeah, and there are occasions where like we used to do a reality series called Matt and Kim to the Rescue, and it didn't use this drone. It used the slightly smaller one, but they just allowed for the drone to kind of come in, and didn't really ruin the audio, but you could see it was multicam. There was lots happening, and it didn't really matter that there was a drone in the background, or we could just put a longer lens and just get up out of the way a little bit. But it was just all part and parcel with it. It suited the situation.
Right. And we were talking about to be proud about this job. you've been working since 2015. You see that so many jobs that you've done, so many TV series, so many films. Which one you are more proud of and say, oh, I love to work on the project that make my career?
Oh, so are you talking, could it be drone or sound, or are you asking me if I was more proud of one over the other? Or?
Which one is you are more proud? You are proud of?
It's probably still the sound gig, because I feel like it's really landed me where I needed to be, and I love my job. This kind of was a very kind of fast acting wave that pretty much kind of come and gone for me, but you know, just my goal of setting out to build this and fly it for work, I was done. That was it. I kind of achieved it, and I thought, well, that's probably enough now. There was also like a bit of circumstance where clients would want me to fly for them, but they wouldn't be happy to, you know, rent a second camera. So they would actually be asking me to fly the main unit camera, which was a deal breaker for me, or a main unit lens or something like that. And basically the budgets just kind of broke down, and I was no longer needed, basically.
Oh wow, that's shit.
A little bit, but you know, I kind of had some morals around the situation, and I wasn't really prepared to break them. So
that's sad, no shit.
So yeah, this picture was taken. It's kind of a special moment. That was the first time that we ever flew an Alexa. It had been tested with weights and stuff prior to that, and me being pretty stubborn, we just went, let's go hard and take it straight over the water.
That's incredible.
The camera belongs to Mike Knight from Location Equipment, and yeah, he was super encouraging for us. He made sure that we knew it was absolutely insured, and go for your life. It was great. He didn't even charge us for the camera. He just wanted to see it fly. And
really?
Yeah, it was great.
Oh man, I need to talk like this guy.
Yeah, no, really nice guy.
But I can see that was. Did you guys do like a job for Matagaro Bridge or something?
No. It was literally just a test flight. It was the first time that we'd put that camera up. So we just wanted to make sure it could be done. And yeah, we did it.
Fantastic. How did you feel? Ever like the?
Very nervous. I was always almost shitting myself flying that thing. It was just big, loud, and yeah, it was just nerve-wracking all the time. Yeah, it aged me.
Jason, coming back for being a sound recordist, what are as you mentioned about it, sometimes the project that you will work, there's a little bit of, it's not absence of brief, but unclear brief or something. How you manage to talk with the directors, the producers, everything during the project to make things working smoothly?
That's a really good question. I think it's just honesty. You know, don't try and hide what you can't do, or something's wildly different. It's just be honest. Okay. So I need more time, or you know, I can do this, but you know, I just need more time or more gear, or whatever it is. But I think just communicating instead of being quiet and hoping the problem's going to go away is a really good policy.
That's good advice.
Yeah, and there's so many. I mean, we're in Perth. It's really small. You know everyone, and it's really no problem. You know, you just get the job done. But yeah, you just ask them to wait. That's it.
Fantastic. I love this feedback, and I think more and more sometimes we are missing this honest. People, they try to please you instead of to be honest.
Yeah, or they're just nervous. I remember when I first started, you know, it was hard to like stop a shoot, you know, because something wasn't right. You know, it would have been so easy just to let the problem just go on, and you know, you're the only one with headphones on, and it would have been so easy just to hope that the problem went away, or at least, you know, they wouldn't find out until I was long gone, you know, and invoice paid and all that. But it's you know, you're always looking after your next job, and you want to do a good job. So yeah, you just gotta roll with it.
Yeah, that's a good advice, man. I love that. I wish everyone was in that way as well. So thanks for that, for sharing. It's really touching, to be honest.
Oh, that's all right.
Especially for me.
Oh, good.
I love it.
I'm glad you can get something out of it.
You're going to be learning something today. So, Jason, I know that you have a beautiful family, right? We could even share here, but you have a beautiful family, and I know to manage the time with your family, to manage the time with the projects might be a really big challenge, right?
Big challenge, yeah.
So, what are the advice or what are the tips that you could give to us to? Oh, that's a beautiful family.
Mate, I'm still trying to work it out. I want to spend all my time with them, but then there's no money coming in, and I worry about that. And then suddenly I get onto I need to work all the time to bring the money in. It's just a pendulum that just keeps swinging from side to side, and I'm still trying to find balance. And it's not even just managing when I'm going to work versus when I'm not going to work. It's when I'm not working, I get terribly depressed as well. So. And I feel like I've done something wrong, or I'm failing or something, and then, you know, my time with my kids isn't that quality time because, you know, I've got other stuff on my mind, like why am I not working, or when's the work going to come in? It's just, you know, this long being a freelancer, and I still can't deal with downtime, and I still can't deal with, you know, when it's just pouring work. I just kind of battle through it, and I'm just okay with the idea that I'm never going to be used to it.
Yeah, because it's hard. I remember we have a opportunity to work together. We were in the middle of nowhere, in the water, 2 weeks, no communication, no cell phone, nothing. And I don't have kids. I have only my family, but I can imagine you. That time you have what's the name of your little boy?
That's Jack.
Jack. So you didn't have the other one
Didn't
yet?
have Harry then, no.
So I remember that all these, I don't know how you could cope with that and keep like the enthusiasm, the happiness. You are always happy. We never complain about anything.
Maybe just not to you. I was complaining a lot. No, look, there was a lot going on, and you're right. There was no reception for by and large, but when we did get reception, my phone would be texting, and basically I'd find my wife was she wasn't having a picnic at all, and this was just with one. Now it's two, and the stakes are even harder, and so I kind of feel like, you know, I've got a job to do. I'm here to do the job, but then there's all this stuff going on at home, and I feel absolutely helpless, and it turns into me texting a whole pile of, like, you know, what if you did this, or what if you did that, and I just get the response, you know, I've tried this, or stop telling me what I should be doing, and but really it's just me trying to do something, and yeah, it's tough, but the older they get, the more independent they are, and it'll be better. But yeah, geez, I just went away for 3 days, 3 nights. So like last week, or only a few days ago, really. And Nina, unfortunately, on the first day I was there, she just had one of those terrible days where everything went wrong, and the kids were not being the best behaved, and even electric gate stopped working. I mean, what's with that? You know, she can't even get the car out the house. You know, she's trying to take them for a drive to get one of them to go to sleep, and just, you know, that gate's never stopped. It's never stopped working until the day I go, or, you know, like
They miss that.
And the time before I went away, this little one wound up in hospital, and so we were all down in Dunsborough having a holiday together. And I went back to Perth because there was 2 days of work I wanted to do. I wasn't getting much work at the time, so I wanted to take everything. And then when I got back, he got sick, and he was struggling to breathe. And so Neen's, she called an ambulance, and they ended up going to Busselton Hospital. And Jack stayed behind with his grandma. We call her Gigi. And so he was in Dunsborough, he was in Busselton, I was in Perth, and Nina was with Harry, obviously. And that was really stressful. And then it got worse. They decided that Harry needed to go to a place that could facilitate him a bit better. So they ended up going for a big ambulance drive all the way to Bunbury. And then and I'm stuck trying to work and deal with that. And I've got my family in different spots. And
Oh my.
it's really, really stressful.
I bet. But the other thing that you said that might be stressful, and I think we are in the same position here, working as a freelancer and doing other jobs, how you can keep being motivated, how you can be still passionate about it, what, in a daily basis, what do you do to keep you, okay, the job is coming, I'm going to be doing the best, let's hope for that. And
There's kind of a couple of points to that. I mean, I need someone to physically remind me all the time that the work's going to come. But as I said, I really struggle with that. But in terms of motivation, I feel like if you're kind of getting at some jobs are better than others, is that where you're kind of going with that?
now I'm just trying to ask you what keeps you motivated to do this, be a freelancer and say, wow,
Oh, okay.
I need to keep to do that. That's my job. I love to do this because we being a freelancer, we struggle a lot, right? There are some dark moments in our professional life, which means like when is gonna be the next project.
Yes. Understood.
So there are two things that you can do. One is you can sit in your table and do nothing and wait and expect for the best, or we do something, or do, I don't know if you do like exercise, meditation, or something that could help you to improve your mood, keep you passionate and keep you motivated and say, hey, that's something that's gonna happen.
Okay. Well, I guess the first part of that, the motivation comes from the fact that all my jobs are different and I love who I work with. So everyone's great. Like, I couldn't remember the last time that I saw someone's name on a call sheet and went, oh, damn, I don't like working with them, and I didn't want to work with them. And occasionally, if that's ever come up, I just go, oh, I don't want the job. But in the second part of that, and this has just happened really recently, I just had this kind of thought that I'm just going to take any job. Doesn't matter what it was. So I do a lot of sport. I'll work on the outside broadcasts, or some jobs have come up and the producer is like, this is a bit of a tricky one, and I thought, well, no, I'm going to do them. No matter what they are, I'll just do them. And I've kind of been able to start that snowball going again. So some of the tricky jobs were, I think I've got one next week where the shoot's actually only for 2.5 hours, but there's 9 radio mics. It's going to be a big setup, and it sounds like some other sounders kind of might have put that in the too hard basket and let it go. And I just thought, no, anything like this, I'm just going to do it. There was a drone job which I was asked to do, which they asked for so much paperwork. I've never been asked for more paperwork, even by CASA. And this job was for Edith Cowan. And anyway, so what's happened with those 2 jobs is they've snowballed. So that company goes, well, this he's keen and he doesn't mind a challenge and he's doing these jobs. So we're going to keep asking him. They've both snowballed into multiple jobs. And the ECU one, which actually we're talking about, is going into another one that needs that larger drone that we were kind of talking about. But yeah, so they for that, it was just a simple one-shot wonder with a small Mavic 3, and to get that job happening, they needed 2 JSAs from me, a full risk assessment, and some other things I can't think of. And anyway, the company said, "You've done so much paperwork for us, charge us for 2 days." So it was completely worth it. And then they've asked me to do more work, which hopefully we'll collaborate on.
That's great, man. I hope so. I love to work with you, and that will be a pleasure to do this again. Jason, what was your inspiration when you start your profession? Why you start to do these sound recordings?
I became a sound recordist because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to be a pilot. So I went down that road for a little bit, and it wasn't for me. And then the next thing I chose was a little bit further away, which was a aircraft maintenance engineer.
Oh,
so
wow.
I went to TAFE and learned how to do that. But that wasn't for me either. And then I had a big break and worked in my dad's photography store. He used to have 4 of them in the city, and did that for 1 or 2 years, I think, and just had a break. And anyways, in that time, I wanted to express myself, I guess, and I got into a band and coaxed 2 other people to join that. And then we got into recording some songs, and then I thought, oh wow, like, you know, recording is where I want to be. I just loved.
Really?
Yeah, like, you know, had a couple of goes. We went into a couple of studios as well to see someone else do it.
Uh-huh.
And then I thought, or I think someone just said, look, maybe you should go and do a sound course at Whopper. And so I looked into that, and was lucky enough to get in the first year that I applied. And during that time, so we got to play with, you know, some great toys. I was still doing the music thing, but it wasn't until my second year, maybe third year, that my lecturer, who I'm still friends with, he just kind of pushed me down the TV road. And I think it was something as simple as doing post audio for a short film, and, you know, just adding the sound of a car that was passing, you know, left to right on the screen.
Uh-huh.
And as soon as I dropped that sound effect in, it's like, shit, you know, they're just glued, and my brain accepted it. It was
That's amazing.
And, you know, and then you realise that you had so much control over a film based on what kind of sounds you put in. You know? Like, you know, I chose how that car was going to sound. Is it going to sound like a V8? Is it going to sound like a Daihatsu? Is it, you know, is it going to be? You can make it whatever you want, and they can all fit a particular mood that you're trying to convey. And I was like, this is where I need to be. This is amazing. And I would say probably the only thing is I got quite fond of my own ideas, and when I had directors and producers kind of telling me to change things, I would get a little defensive, you know. And I remember once I did a short film, and the director was called Michael Bond. He lived, I think he still lives in Hollywood, and I'd written an entire essay about why I did what I did, and I sent it to him along with my finished product. And he wrote back and said, "Oh, I better not ask for any changes."
Oh man, really?
Yeah, I got stupidly glued to my ideas, but you know.
It changed with time, or is still?
Well, I moved into sound recording. This is like, it's just technical. The only creativity to it is if you're struggling to mic someone up, you know, you can't put a boom in, you might have to and you can't get a lav mic hidden on them, you might have to put a carefully, you know, arranged plant mic around, you know where they're going to be, so you hide a mic on the set or something like I like doing all that kind of stuff, but that's basically the creativity. Otherwise, it's just a straight up and down technical job. You walk away with clean dialogue and all of the dialogue, and if it's not captured in sync to the camera, then you go, well, this is recorded as a wild or something like that. So you basically take home a bag of all the elements that's going to make that come together.
Oh wow, that's incredible.
So so after this scene here, basically I wanted to get all of their lines clean on it. They have got radio mics on. I wanted to get some cleaner stuff with the boom. After that, there was a generator running in the background, so we had that turned off. We had the actors or everyone go silent for a sec. We get a buzz track for about 30 seconds, and then the idea is that they cut the dialogue, kind of like what this microphone's doing. Every time I stop, the background goes away, and then we fill up that hole back with the clean kind of buzz track, and that's the basis for pretty much any kind of scene like this.
That's great, man. That's good. Check. You mentioned that your father has like a photography store, and I do know that your mom is a stunning photographer as well.
Oh, she'd love to hear that. Yeah, she's very good.
Yeah, and tell me a little bit more. I think we do have like a photo of her.
Yeah,
Take
sure.
a picture.
They actually both used to be photographers. Dad used to do weddings, apparently. He started really early with his career, but he moved into selling cameras, and that worked really well for him for a lot of years. And Mum worked in the store with him, so they both ran that together. And we were there when. We were there before digital cameras were a thing. I remember selling the first mainstream digital camera, which was a Kodak 1 megapixel camera.
Really?
And they all sold for $1,000.
Wow.
Yeah. They would come with something like, I remember 64 megabytes, so not gigabytes, megabytes. That'd be like a $200 expense.
Jesus.
And we would be saying, you can fit 1,000 photos on this camera, and it was like, we'd literally just gone from a roll of 36 to this, and we couldn't get enough of them. They were just flying out the door.
Really?
Yep. And the amount of times I had to give the spill on what a digital camera was, my throat's still like closing up at the thought of it. But we were there for all that. I used to develop a lot of films. That was kind of fun. So I was always in this kind of industry, whether I liked it or not. But I like the fact that I went down sound rather than camera, because it kind of gave me that independence. Like, I just wanted something that my parents weren't doing. And then, she runs her own little production company now, and she booked me to do the sound. So
that's great.
Drone sometimes as well, if she doesn't want to do it. So yeah, but and this is I don't have a full picture of the plane, but this was Mum and Dad's plane, I'm pretty sure. So not that one would fly. They both had their licenses. They in fact got their licenses right after I got mine. They just thought it looked like a lot of fun. And then so Mum's aerial photography business kind of blossomed from that, and then she's very accomplished on the ground as well.
That's amazing. I have opportunity to see some of her pictures. She has like the eye to capture something really amazing.
And she's pretty handy to have around for photographing our kids and stuff.
So she's the one that takes like the amazing pictures that you have.
Yes.
That makes sense.
So they ran a photography store, or 4 of them, for a long time, and then basically the internet kind of killed most of their revenue. That was just an easier place for people to get the gear from, and things just took their natural course, I suppose.
Okay, cool. Jason, for all those years that you have been working, tell me one moment that you said, "Oh, what was the?" You could say like 2 different experiences, right? One, that's something that, oh man, that was the worst experience. I almost died, or doing something like that. Or the other one would be like, that was the best experience that I have in my life. I want to do this again.
There's a lot of the highs and the lows. I've been close to having a lot of accidents with work through either fatigue or stupidity, or just lack of knowledge, I suppose. There's definitely been lots of jobs where I've basically haven't been able to sleep that night because I'm just so pumped from what happened. I actually got a lot of that feeling from the bigger drone stuff. Like I kept replaying it in my head, and I was just, you know, the shot was great. The clients were happy, and it was just that real feeling of accomplishment. But you know, there's been one time where I was left dangling from a 10-meter high roof by my fingertips.
Are you kidding?
While my film crew are looking at me, wondering if I'm going to be falling or not. So there's been
How that
some
happened?
ups and downs. That was on a. I probably shouldn't mention the shoot name just in case. I've got.
Oh, you don't need to shoot.
No. But basically, we landed on a very big shed in a helicopter, and the shed inside the shed was really big road trains, so it was huge, and this was all on a cattle farm, and our job was basically to get a few shots on the roof, and then we were to be lowered down onto the ground. There's this ancient guy. He must have been like 80 or something like that, and maybe older, and he had a hay baler, and he basically had that extended all the way to the roof with a bale of hay on it, and I jumped onto that first, and then the production assistant, he started handing me the tripod, and I was going to take that, and as soon as he did that, this guy just dropped the hay bale, and suddenly, you know, between trying to get the tripod onto the hay, I just kind of didn't go with the hay. I just grabbed onto the gutter, and then I looked down, and it was 10 meters below me, and the production assistant was trying to grab my arm, and all these people had seen what had happened, and they were yelling at this old deaf guy to like bring it back up, and yeah, I thought I was going to hurt myself that day, and yeah, there's been a few incidents. Or near incidents.
Luckily, nothing happened.
No.
So, and what's the one that you are proudest to say, oh, that was the best day in my life?
Um,
Don't need to talk about your kids.
no, that was an amazing day. Are we just talking work-wise though?
Yeah, work-wise, yeah.
Okay. Even just the other day, I got to work on a shoot which was interviewing a guitarist called Hank Marvin from it's Cliff Richard's band. Anyway, he's very famous, and he does a song called Apache, which he started playing for us, and basically his whole interview was about the riffs that he'd made, and amplifiers and guitars, and we were in this beautiful studio, and the director said that she'd never seen me smiling so much in my life. So I was pretty happy with that. But generally, if anyone asked me what my favourite job was, there's probably two. The first one that comes to mind was a show on ABC called Prank Patrol, which was basically like Punk'd but for kids.
Okay.
And we had the director Ben Young on that one, and it was just so much fun. We had to basically just set everyone up with hidden earpieces, microphones. There would even be like something that the kid that was getting pranked, they would have to wear. We'd have to stitch in a radio mic and hope that would go on as planned. But basically, once the prank was set, and they just went to an extraordinary length with, you know, like one-way mirrors or whatever they're called, or two-way mirrors, I suppose. And once the prank was ready to happen, it was just press the go button and just hope it all went to plan. It was just an amazing feeling. We'd have their family, you know, in a hidden room somewhere watching on, and actually one of the times there was this prank. I thought it was the best one. We had this like teddy bear, and the premise of it was that the teddy bear was like this one, you know, futuristic one. It's not on the market yet, and it would listen to you and it would answer like, you know, all these questions about you, right? So we had like a little speaker in there. The voice was modified. We had someone speaking into a mixing desk, and you know, all pitched down, or like robot-like kind of thing. And of course we had the microphones, so we could hear that. In a secret room, we had the parents of the kid that was getting pranked who obviously know everything about him. So these kids would ask this teddy bear something about his life, and of course we know the answer, and the teddy bear would say it back to them. And this kid was so sold on this teddy, on this device, that they tried to nick it. They tried to steal it and run off. And we all had to change plans about, like, they're running for the door. It was unbelievable. It was really, really a happy time. And so that was about a 6-week shoot or something like that. And
6 weeks?
Yeah, there was a lot of pranks that we covered. And each prank would be like 3 days long. You know, we'd have build days, and then, you know, we'd have a post prank day where we interviewed people and see how they got on and that kind of thing. So it was great. And maybe the other one was a long form kids drama that I did up in Broome. So I got to go live up in Broome for 6 months. And that
6 months in Broome.
Yes, yeah.
Boy.
And that was probably one of my biggest gigs early on, kind of thing. There was lots to do, and there was lots of episodes to get through, and the conditions were tough. One of my best mates was my boom swinger, and we just lived in a house and just had a great time. It was awesome.
When you say like the conditions were tough, what do you mean?
If you can imagine, say, like 80-90% humidity, 40 degrees, trampling over sand dunes, stuff was just too hot to touch, and understaffed. I mean, the guy that was meant to be doing the unit, they call it, the drinks and food, he got roped into lighting all the time, and, you know, we'd have cars breaking down or getting bogged all the time.
Oh boy!
Yeah, it was a big one, but yeah, really proud of it.
That's amazing, Jason. Let's say that I wanted to start this career as a song recordist, and I come to talk with you. What would be your advice for someone that wants to understand how the profession works, and what would be the first step that they could follow? Could go and, like, I don't know, magazine or book or podcast or anything that you could recommend to me to do?
Okay. I feel like I was trained really well, so I'd probably recommend getting the best training you can. WAP is still running. I've actually just said to them that I'm really ready to, if they'll have me, you know, come back and teach students what I know, because it's just basically given me my whole life as far as I'm concerned. I think anyone can really learn how to use the gear, and over time you get better and better. You know, like radio might it becomes second nature. You just look at someone's clothes and you go, well, that's where that needs to go. But there was a bit of advice that I got really early on, and it took me a long time to understand. It was from a producer who I had a bit of a love-hate relationship with, and he's gone now. But his name was Ray Black, and I'd had a shoot. It was just a corporate. I was doing a fair bit of stuff with him. His company used to be called Digital Imagineers, and they were responsible for, like, all the Garden Guru stuff at the time, and they had, like, clients like BHP and Westpac or Bankwest, something like that. Doesn't matter. They had heaps. And anyway, I'd just done this corporate day, and it was nothing special. It was just these guys going out to do, like, trust exercises and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, it just wasn't an important shit. These guys just wanted footage of the day that they wanted to keep and you know, see what they kind of got up to for the day. And I remember, you know, we were running around, and I was like, I didn't get that person properly, or, you know, I missed the start of this this speech. I didn't know what was going to happen, or, you know, I didn't get to put all these excuses, right? And I didn't think that I'd done the best job. And afterwards, I got hauled into Ray Black's office, and I didn't know what he wanted to talk about. I was a bit surprised, and he said, "Look, these clients have kind of complained about you a little bit. You know, you're a bit too stressed, and you didn't really have any fun, right?" And I thought, well, where's this going? I did do a shit job. I was still down on myself about it. And he says, oh, look, Jace, you know, the most important thing is to have fun, right? The sound recording comes second, but we want you to be relaxed and have fun. And I walked away from that just going, well, that's a shit bit of advice. It's really stupid. And it took me a long time. I just always thought about it, and it took me a long time to realize what he was kind of getting at. And he was bang on. Like, my job should come second to relations that I build with the people I'm working with. You know, like, I didn't get on Shipwreck Hunters because of my sound recording ability. I got told it was because of my attitude and I'm quiet on set. It was like, it was just a revelation, basically. There's been other things that have unfolded from that. Like, when I go to a commercial, I realise that all of the people that have been working on this commercial, you know, the copyright or the set design or anything, they've all been building up to this point, and they get to the shoot day, which I'm involved in, and it's a celebration for them. They don't want some guy that's going, oh, I'm not getting that perfectly, or I'm not, like, just fucking make it, like, do it properly, but don't be shit about it. Don't be upset. Don't bring the mood down. Like, all these people are there to party, you know, and that's, it might be a job that I'm doing day in, day out to me, but for them, it's that one job, you know, that moment that they've been building to. So, you know, and in this case, you know, what I was kind of hauled into the office for, that was just a corporate. They didn't care about, you know, the speech that I missed a little bit of. You know, they were just happy to have some footage and you know, a bit of sound, and it was just a memento for the day. You know, they didn't need me like being all stroppy and, you know, being upset about not doing my job properly. They couldn't give a shit. You know, so, and then a lot of the jobs that I do, you know, the big commercials, they'll be like 50 people. But by and large, most of the time, I go away with about 3 or 4 people. And you are really in their face like the whole time. You eat together, you know, hopefully you get separate rooms, but sometimes that doesn't happen. You work together, you just see them all the time. And if you're not enjoyable to be around, then you can just kiss your job goodbye. They won't ask you again. But yeah, you just give them something that they can work with that's good, do the best of your ability, and yeah, just have fun. That's it.
That's a good advice, man.
I love it. I just didn't understand it at the time.
I need to understand that.
Yeah, it's like your laugh, you know, that brings everybody up. You know, you just naturally want to stray away from that stressed person, you know, the one that's not having a good day. You don't want to be around that person. You don't want to be that person. So that would be my bit of advice. I'm not sure if you asked me advice, but yeah, I've been rambling on,
that's pretty much what I'm looking for, and I would love you to share, because there's so many people that potentially are in the same situation. I probably is the one person that I would love, and that touched me a lot, because being a professional and working really hard the way that we do, it's really hard sometimes to have fun. In my opinion, right? But I agree with you. Sometimes it's better for you to go get along with people, and the job comes second. Yeah,
I feel like if you have the fun first, then the good job follows straight after it, because you're relaxed, you're not stressed, you're thinking properly, you're not in a rush, and you're just all having a good time, and the job just happens, and it works, and it's a good job. You did a good job because you were just being a good bloke. I don't know.
I hope one day I can learn that, right, Franco? Just, I don't know if you met Franco before, but Franco is our right hand here. He loves also all this stuff when you talk about sound, everything. He used to be MC there in Argentina.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to.
What was your name?
I'm joking. No, I used to be, because I studied 2 careers. One was graphic designer, and the other one was broadcaster of radio and television. That's why I used to do social events, hosting, for the people to enjoy. Is just having fun.
Yeah,
but
awesome.
then I came to Australia. We started working with Rodrigo. Drones.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, nothing's perfect.
I started flying FPV as well. So here we are.
Oh, right, you're the FPV guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
he's
great.
the FPV guy.
Excellent. I think
But-
that's the next big thing for sure.
For 100%.
No.
Well, Franco, I know that you are really enthusiastic when you talk about sound, everything. Do you have any questions for our amazing?
Yeah. Which software do you use?
Okay. I mean, I don't really use software anymore because I don't really do post, but it was mainly Pro Tools.
Yeah.
That's been around for a long time. Everyone knows Pro Tools. It was easy to share projects because everyone was on it. My favorite was called Pyramix. I'm not even sure if that's still around anymore, but that was in the first studio I worked at.
Yeah.
And the editing abilities on that, it was like the person who wrote that program had the same brain as me. So I didn't even need to look up shortcuts or anything. I just try the shortcut that I thought was it, and it would just work.
Yeah.
And I was fast on that. And there was another one that I hated called Fairlight, and that just didn't work. Everything was very linear, and like if I was doing a post on a show, I'd go, well, every time they go back into this room, I want to go and put this room tone in. And so I would go, it would just be like a task-based thing for me. I'd go through the video, every time in the room, throw the room tone in, and then work on the next problem. But Fairlight was just like, you have to start at the start, finish at the finish, and that's it. It'd be like rolling a tape through, basically. But Pro Tools was good.
Because you've been working for many years already in audio stuff, have you seen like a huge step up in audio gears or equipment? Because we can see like the drone industry, for example, is growing like really fast, and smaller drones are coming now, being better camera quality, really cheap drones as well. Do you see the same improvement in audio interfaces?
I do. So when you're talking about audio interfaces, for me, I'd be more talking about my location gear, so radio mics and mixing consoles and all that. And it's kind of an interesting time. I think we were talking about it. There is a lot of movement in that area at the minute, where traditionally, it's been, as I said, you could expect your gear to last a long time, but now we've got like radio mic receivers in banks of 8, 16, and they're really just accommodating for the fact that everybody needs a radio mic now, and there's so much reality TV, and but there's two issues. One is the gear is just hugely expensive, in the order of like, if I wanted to gear up with 8 radio mics and one of these receivers, I'm up past 50,000 US. Right? It's more than the camera. The cameraman's making more money, so they're getting a better return. And here's my predicament. I've got, say, like 8 radio mics, and they're all independent units, so they get quite heavy in my bag. But the producer only hears 8 voices coming through. So I only get paid for what I'm already producing myself. But if I go and spend this $50,000, I'm not giving them a product that's any better. There's still 8 voices, but it's just a slight bit more convenient for me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's that. I mean, I'd love to have this really expensive gear. It's amazing. But basically the return for it is not there any more than it is now with my older gear. And the other thing is, so many productions now are trying to do away with the Soundo because budgets, or for what I think just budgets really, and they'll make the Port Camo do it. So so there's this kind of like extra problem. I would never buy any gear that I wasn't confident that I could not only pay off, but that it could actually make me a profit.
Yeah.
Because that's otherwise it's really bad business. And you know, drones are the same. You want those drones to, you know, not
make
just
money.
pay themselves off, but actually fund your whole life. So.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's kind of interesting. So I'm very cautious about buying new gear at the minute.
And maybe the last question for me is, I know you were managing like really expensive gear, audio, related with audio, but if we can go to the regular consumer and say why the people prefer like a better quality sound instead of a better video quality, because we can see that in YouTube, for example, that maybe the video is not that good or the quality is not really nice, but the audio is everything in that case, and you can keep listening the audio for like 1 hour. You know?
Yeah.
Why do people choose the audio instead of the video in that case?
Not sure they do. I still think there's just an expectation that the sound's going to be a certain way.
Yeah.
And again, you don't really notice that the sound's a problem until, you know, some guy's got, you know, a really nice camera, but it's just got a top mic on it, and you can kind of hear someone talking in the background, but you can also hear like traffic and wind and all these kind of things that that make you start thinking, well, why am I hearing all that? And then you have that thought, and then you've just missed what that person said, and it just becomes distracting. And so you've just lost your audience basically. And that's where we come in. We just basically stop that from happening. You know, if someone's pouring their heart out, you just don't want any distractions. You know that you're only going to get that once, and you need to make sure that you're in the best position to get it perfectly. And if it's not 100% perfect, it's always going to be so much better than a top mic, and and it's going to be, you're not going to have the audience disengaged basically. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Well,
Jason, you said like, for example, it's really important to get along really well with people here, and Perth is really small, so everyone knows Jason, right? And I have opportunity to work with other guys as well that are sound recordists, and everyone knows you.
Yeah, it's pretty small. Yeah. I've been around a while.
And I don't know what, but everyone asked to do some jokes with you as well, but I don't know why. But how do you keep like on the people's mind and everyone can ask you to work on their projects? The reason why I'm asking that is, if you don't have this kind of content on network, what would be the other way for you to be on people's mind and they have like a place that they can look, oh, that's the guy that I want for this project? Let's say, do you have like a place to have your resume? Do you have, do you apply for positions? What do you do to keep working?
I don't. I probably sounds a little bit lazy. I do wait for the phone to ring. The phone rings and I can either accept the job or not. That's by and large how it works. I don't have a website. I think if you look me up on Google, I don't think I even come up actually. I just hope that people
You'll be surprised.
I think people know how I work, and if I fit the bill, then they ring me. That's how Shipwreck Hunters worked. I remember I was in the car. I was literally wondering how my whole year was going to pan out. I don't think COVID was a big problem, and I was worried about the future. And I was on Harborne Street, and I got a call from Brendan Hutchins, and he said, "I've got this big project, and I want you to be on it." And just that one phone call just secured my entire year. And
That was a big project.
That's how it works. And that we can also get phone calls, a single phone call that can be a cancellation on a big project as well. So yeah, that's how it works. And it's
So when the phone rings, is a mix of feeling.
Yeah,
If you got the job?
If I'm hearing their name for the first time, I know it's a job offer. If I'm seeing their name for the second time, I know it's probably a cancellation. So just don't answer the phone on the second time, right? Someone said to me once when I started, actually, because one of my first jobs, I was very, very lucky, was on a travel show. So we went for about 2 years. I went to country to country. It was showing people where to stay and what to do and all this kind of thing. It was great. And but those shoots would always chop and change. And one of the presenters, he would say, "It's the chicken or the beef." I said, "Oh, what do you mean?" He goes, "Well, we don't know the shoot's happening until you're on the plane being asked if you want the chicken or the beef."
No way.
And it's always stuck with me. So that's yeah, it's the chicken or the beef. Is it on? Is it not?
That's amazing, Jason. Do you have any questions for us? Because I remember we worked together. That's the first time that you were meeting Franco. Do you?
You know, it wasn't the first. Shipwrecks wasn't the first time we met.
Oh yeah,
we
that's
met
true.
on a rugby job. It's probably only a few months prior to that, actually.
That's true. No, that was like 1 or 2 years before.
Yeah, and I remember seeing you. Why did they ask me to do the job? What's wrong with me?
I think that was for Perfect Glory, right?
No, it was for the Western Force.
Western Force?
Or do you think? I mean, that's generally a rugby
Jeez,
ground,
man,
but
maybe you work more.
Maybe it was soccer. I don't know.
We work for. I think there is one time that we work on HBF stadium, and it was like the guys from. It was a promo for Hyundai
Okay.
and Perfect Glory. So the guys there was like 2 professional or 3 professional soccer players. They were playing like some things that they make these up there on the moment,
Right.
and they have to kick the ball in different place, everything. But I do remember that was Hyundai and Perfect Glory.
Oh, that's glorious. That's how much the job had an effect on me. I'm just looking at radio marking people and making sure I can hear them. Whatever sport's being played is not my
And turn off this drum.
my business.
Turn off this drum.
Yeah, I probably told you that.
Jason, we can take you enough for coming here today. It was really a pleasure to know you a little bit more, all the experience, all the place that you've been, all the beautiful family that you saw. Talking about your parents as well was, I didn't know about it, that both were or still being photographers. All the experience that you share with us, the advice, and few things touch me personally, I think. And I'm really glad that you could make these and be with us today. So
Well,
thank
thanks
you
for
so
having
much.
me. That's great. Yeah, it's awesome. Hopefully some of what I said makes sense.
Yeah, and I hope next time you can come here and talk with us again, and big projects, and I don't know, have some laughs again. And I
Absolutely.
look forward for that, man.
Would
To
love
see
that.
you again. Thank you
Sure.
so much for coming here.
No problems, mate.
And that's a wrap today, guys. Thank you so much for coming here. Hit the button and subscribe, whatever. I can talk this later. Don't worry about it. And the other thing, we didn't talk much about Shipwreck Hunters, but I think it was like, I don't know, I think almost 6 months, right? Working together.
Was 6 months, yeah.
And,
I realised it was on my mind to say when you asked me what my favourite jobs are, maybe I should have mentioned that. I mean, it was a very, very memorable one.
Really? But I think what was fun in my mind was when I work too much, I don't sleep well, right? And when I don't sleep well, I snore.
like a motherfucker.
And I remember we went to Broome, and we have like 2 rooms, one with 2 beds, and one like couple bed, right? So
Yeah,
and
we both opted. Yeah, Darren and I opted to share rather than share a bed with you.
man, when you said that you want to sleep with Darren, I don't know if you
That's how
remember.
serious what got.
I don't know if you remember his face.
It's utter relief.
But I'm using this as an opportunity to say
You need
sorry.
like a CPAP machine or something like that. You couldn't be getting a good sleep
Man,
with that snoring going on.
Do you know that only happens when I'm working too much and I don't sleep?
Well,
My wife
I've
said the
only
same.
ever known you to snore.
I was working too
I
much.
couldn't
man.
jam the earplugs in my ears far enough.
Man, I was doing drone photography, data handling.
I think you had I reckon you had the busiest job with probably the least recognition, I think.
Yeah, that's okay. It's part of the job.
It was.
Everyone was having fun. That's why I'm saying, like, I would love to have to listen to this advice to be fun and
Yeah.
come the job later.
No, it wasn't an enviable job. All that wrangling would have been through the night too, just so we had clean cards in the morning.
In the morning, everyone
There's
was
no
happy.
shortage of cards on that shoot.
Everyone was happy on the other day.
Yeah. Did you? We probably should have talked about shipwrecks a bit more. Did you want to go over any of that or?
No, it's okay, man. It's not about like the project per se. It's your experience.
Yep.
We could save this to talk in the next episode.
I don't think anyone's going to want to listen to me again. But yeah.
Cool. Thanks, guys. See you next one. Woo! Jason, thank you so much. Hey,
No worries.
Really appreciate it, man. Really glad that
So
you
easy.
came.
Thanks, Franco.
That was good. Stopping. 3, 2, 1.